Okay, panel number 3. It was really all about people again, but rather different from the previous discussion, which was very much about the consumer. Here we were on the supplier of the service and all the people aspects, the social aspects of that. And I think we started off with quite a positive note. We heard about how many companies are now living up to their corporate social responsibility concerns, and obviously a strong component of sustainability in tourism. We heard from TUI about the various activities that they are undertaking. A little bit of a note to say that how the social dimension is being tackled by different companies will vary a lot between different kinds of company. It's not one size fits all, and some of the bigger companies have already got their directors of sustainability and so on who are working. This may not be the case as far as small and medium-sized enterprises are concerned. Quite an interesting emphasis quite often by Mr. Zumfert on the whole issue of company reporting as quite an important tool there. We moved then on to talking about, whether there are going to be new jobs available through a new market and a new approach to sustainability, and really quite an encouraging presentation by Gina, who was saying, well, let's look laterally about this. When we're talking about sustainability, we're talking about response to nature, natural resources. I'm actually in the food sector. That may not seem like an obvious link, but yes, it is. It is a link. Here I am now promoting quality foods, organic foods. That relates to sustainability, and there are jobs in this as well, and some really positive examples of those jobs are not just in the enterprises, but in the community as well. If you have food festivals and so on and so forth related to nature, so that was really, I felt, very sort of upbeat and positive. And then Ella gave us a roadmap, really, I suppose, from her professional perspective, working in this sector in the trade union movement. And she was emphasizing the fact that we, first of all, need good education, and that's very much the role of the state. But then as far as the corporate sector is concerned, big underlining of the need for ongoing training, training for adults, in-service training, learning by doing, learning on the workplace and so on. And she was particularly also saying, but we need some support here in relation to research and development to underpin the work we're doing in this sector. And she said we do need a triumvirate activity between trade unions, employers, and government, and that may be, I think, partly to do with this concept of social dialogue. And then I think it's important to reflect on why we need to pay attention to the social dimension, and particularly to the issue of quality of jobs. Employment quality was one of the key challenges that we identified in the tourism sustainability group, and we had a lot of debates there about the social dialogue. So it was very much present in the work that we did on the future sustainability of tourism in Europe. And I think what we've got from this forum is we need to address this for two reasons. First of all, we do need to be concerned that those who are working in this sector are getting their due needs, their due requirements, what they are, what we should be giving to them in terms of their employment conditions and their take-home pay and so on. It is a social requirement that we need to live up to, and that's very much central to sustainability. But it was also a case of saying this is a service industry. We need to deliver high-quality service. Tourism, to be sustainable, needs to have a motivated workforce that is keen to deliver that quality of service that the industry depends on. So it's needed by the industry as well as being an important part of our social responsibility. We then looked at a number of sort of more technical issues. We had quite an interesting debate about the minimum wage. I was quite interested to hear that my colleague from the trade union movement was saying that they're not necessarily pushing for minimum wages. They want robust negotiation to make sure that the right conditions and so on are met for their members for the working place. So an interesting debate about the minimum wage. Actually, in the UK, where I come from, the minimum wage was introduced, and a lot of people said it was going to be hopeless, but it does seem to have actually been quite a sound policy. But I don't know a lot about that. Let's not go into that technical detail. There was a sense that we needed flexibility here. There needs to be a coming together by the employer's side and the employee's side, supported by government, to try and make sure that the nature of the jobs and the response from the employees is meeting flexibly the needs of the sector. We heard about the social dialogue. We heard that it was alive when it came to the HOTREC, the hospitality sector, but possibly not alive when it comes to travel agents and tour operators, which sounds like something that needs to be addressed. Again, more specifically, the whole issue of seasonality came up as being an enemy of sustainability. That's something we said in the TSG report. Seasonality is another of these key challenges. It's an enemy of sustainability in a number of ways, to do with resource use, but very much also to do with the quality of employment as well. And it's something that needs to be tackled. We heard about how it could be tackled through various marketing approaches, incentives, discounts, creative promotion events, and so on out of season. We also heard about the link to the social dimension of tourism, another aspect of social sustainability, about techniques of giving opportunities to people, more disadvantaged people, to travel out of season and so on, and that can actually benefit the industry through helping to tackle seasonality as well. And we also heard this very concerning thing about one of the aspects of the conditions of employment, whether people who are working seasonally are actually eligible for unemployment support when they're not working, and that's a technical issue that clearly needs to be given quite deep and significant consideration. We heard a lot about training. We were told, and this was very much underlined, that there is a responsibility for staff training in terms of quality, but also training in relation to sustainability issues at an employee level. But somebody said, but we also need to make sure that the employers are picking this up as well. And we heard that in many countries there are training and professional advisory services and so on that are making sure that that is happening. And then finally, there were one or two times when the finger was, not the finger was being pointed at the EU, but the request that the EU could possibly, the Commission could possibly help here was made, and Pedro quite naturally was concerned that he was saying things that the Commission could actually do for the sector, rather than sort of offering to do something that might not be within his powers and capabilities. But we had a strong underlining that there needs to be more information on all this, and throughout the day we've heard that the one particular role for the Commission is to encourage the sharing of information, and I think Pedro was very happy to pick that up, and he himself said he wants to help the whole discussion process and facilitate a dialogue, facilitate the social dialogue, and encourage networking between everybody.